Pastoral philosophy is a term that I think I coined in my book before this with Cascade, called a primer or a primer for philosophy and education. There's two senses of the word pastoral that I really love. The one I love the most is related to sheep. My grandfather on my mom's side was born in the Chalma Mountain in the southwestern United States in the Rocky Mountains, and he took care of sheep his whole life. And of course, the pastoral literature, right, are these basically stories that shepherds would tell each other, and that passed down over campfires and stuff like that. It's its entire literary genre, right? So on the one hand, there's this real affection that pastoral philosophy has of sort of philosophy for campfires, philosophy for illiterate people, philosophy for all these things. I mean, I think that one of my biggest problems with philosophy, if you wanted to break it down, is that at this point, academic philosophy almost always assumes a very particular type of literacy, of academic literacy. Yet, whenever I read, ironically, Plato or Nietzsche or the philosophers that have stayed, that have stuck around, it's their stories that creep into the bigger story of society or whatever that really stick. And so pastoral philosophy is really about trying to distill philosophy backwards into this more folky origin. So that's kind of really... The other side of pastoral philosophy is, of course, the pastoral dimension that's a little bit more churchy. But I think that has to do not just with caring for sheep, but of course the caring for animals metaphor is the metaphor we find in Scripture, where, Christ as the good shepherd and, that kind of thing. And, I'm the son of an evangelist. I've been raised in church. And so I've seen a very particular homiletic style, a very particular pastoral therapeutic style, I guess you could see. And it's a style of teaching that I also recognize in classrooms, and I tend to recognize as good teaching. But then whenever I go to the workshops on good teaching, it usually has nothing to do with that sensibility. So pastoral philosophy is also, in some sense, a pedagogical philosophy, a philosophy that has a certain capacity to not only speak over campfires, but also to teach. So it's a rabbinic idea of philosophy that's not just meant for me in my head or me in my pens, or but meant to be taught, to be shared, that way.